My name is Brian Maraña, and I'm the upper school principal at Loyola Blakefield. Loyola is an all-boys 6 to 12 school in Towson, Maryland. What led to my commitment in education and in Jesuit education started with me as a student here at Loyola 30 years ago. So I was a 7th grade student in 1994. I graduated in 2000 and went to Loyola University in Maryland, then Loyola College. During my time there, I studied abroad with the Beijing Center, a Jesuit-run study abroad program based in China, which then led me to work for the Beijing Center for 2 years before finding my way to the Philippines, where I got my start in secondary education, teaching at a Jesuit school in Manila called Xavier School. And really, it was the combination of experiences as a student, being exposed to Ignatian spirituality, to retreats like Kairos, to a holistic development of the person, a liberal arts curriculum, all of these things, along with campus ministry experiences and encounters with Jesuits and peers and adults, captured my attention and made me wanting more. Some of the key mentors were educators here at Loyola when I was a student. Dick Prody was the director of guidance counseling, and he had a profound impact on me as a Kairos leader and as someone who led our peer education program. He invited me to be part of that program, which was an opportunity for really to have my first experiences as a teacher. And so he was a profound mentor. At Loyola University, Pete Rogers, who was an assistant director for campus ministry, had an impact on me getting into ministry work and thinking about Ignatian spirituality in more specific ways. And when I worked for the Beijing Center, it was Father Ron Anton, who ran the Beijing Center at the time, who really inspired me to think about how Jesuit spirituality and Ignatian education could have an impact globally. He was the one that introduced me ultimately to Father Johnny Go, who hired me at Xavier in the Philippines. And Father Go was a profound mentor for me in terms of translating Ignatian spirituality into educational contexts. At Xavier also, my first department chair, Elsa Santos, was a profound mentor for me about what it meant to be a good teacher and a good leader. Some of the important formation experiences I've had involve a couple of things. First, educationally, my experiences abroad as a student with the Beijing Center and as a teacher in the Philippines helped shape my understanding of the global network and how this universal Ignatian spirituality can be translated into all these different contexts in really meaningful and powerful ways. I think the other formation experiences were retreat experiences as an adult that I had specifically at Xavier. Xavier in Manila did a great job of providing retreat experiences for educators. So there was a retreat, an overnight retreat that was just for new teachers. There was a teacher retreat called the Teacher Within, abbreviated the TWIN, which was for teachers in that 3 to 5 year range who were really discerning whether this was going to be a real vocation and profession for them. That made an impact on me. And Xavier provided me an opportunity to do a 3-day silent guided retreat in the Ignatian tradition as well. Most powerfully and more recently, I had an opportunity to do the 19th annotation spiritual exercises in daily life offered through Loyola University in Maryland. And that was a really powerful experience and helped provide me with the background that I use every day as a leader in formation activities here at Loyola. I think my favorite element of Ignatian spirituality traditionally has been finding God in all things, and that has animated me for a long time. But more recently, I would say right now, my favorite element is this idea of the first principle and foundation, that is on setting the love of God and the love of Christ as the goal and as the first principle and as the foundation for how I live my life and how my family carries itself, and for my decision making every day as a principal. My favorite way of Ignatian prayer and contemplation is really entering into Scripture in a contemplative mode and imagining and picturing myself in the scene. I am traditionally a left-brained person and more analytical, more logical, more rational. I've not leaned into the creative and imaginative side too much as a student and as a thinker. And that was a challenge and an invitation for me when I made the exercises to lean into that imagination as a way of not just thinking, but as a way of encountering God and encountering Christ. And it continues to be a favorite element of mine, not just because it's exercising a different part of my brain, but because I think in doing so, it unlocks different aspects of spirituality, of faith. It often takes me out of kind of either or thinking traps and helps me imagine other ways forward and other ways of encountering God. In terms of Ignatian resources that I can't live without, I really draw from a mix of many things. I do find that in terms of social media, the posts that I see, whether it's from the JSN or Educate Magis, or from Living Ad Maiorem, or other podcasts, all of these are really helpful. I do find Father Sosa's address to the Educational Congress in Rio to be a source of real inspiration to me. I think he set the bar high for what Jesuit schools should be doing. But really the most valuable resource for me is the family and community of Ignatian educators around the world. That is my go-to. So whenever there's a problem, whenever there's something I want to think about or work through, whether it's on the spiritual side or on the education side, I turn to my colleagues in this network. In my school, for sure, there are folks here, some of them who were my own teachers some time ago, who I look to for guidance, for their wisdom, for the experiences they had in Jesuit colloquium, 20 or 30 years ago. I have friends and mentors from Xavier School in the Philippines and that I worked with through the Beijing Center, friends and classmates from Loyola Blakefield and Loyola University who still feed me spiritually and professionally. That only expands with leaning into the network. And so whether it's by joining these efforts or connecting with our global network through Educate Magis and meeting new people, new friends, that is my go-to. Just as a quick example, I met Iwao Funabashi, who's the principal of Sophia High School in Japan, in 2010. And over dinner one evening, this was in the Philippines, we were marveling at how quickly we had become friends because we shared a common language of Ignatian spirituality and faith. And he mentioned, how powerful it was for him to be able to enter into such deep conversations about his profession and his faith with someone that he had just recently met. And I think that's a credit and it's a power to this global universal mission that we're part of. Never would I have thought that 14 years later, that he, again, now as principal at Sophia and myself as principal at Loyola, would connect again. One of my students happened to be in Fukuoka, Japan, and I was able to connect my student from Baltimore so that he could visit Sophia High School in Japan. And what a powerful connection and what a powerful resource that stemmed just from the sense of fellowship and friendship being part of our network.